Hi everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Sean and I've recently decided to start doing a video series which will cover a variety of different political subjects, specifically one at a time. Each subject will be one that many Trump supporters, particularly Christians, tend to feel very strongly about, but ones that I think he's actually failing to fix or make better and is in fact oftentimes making it much worse. I've also decided to cover a specific subject at a time for a specific reason, which is that I feel like a lot of political debates tend to devolve into whataboutisms. In other words, if the subject tends to get a bit uncomfortable, someone will quickly try and shift the topic and say, well, what about this or that, and change it to something entirely different. And to be clear, I think both sides are guilty of this, and I think it makes it difficult to really address a topic in depth when we do. I also think that complex topics contain a lot of important information, and unless you have a photographic memory, which I definitely don't, it can be difficult to remember all of that at once, and especially when it comes to pulling exact statistics from the back of your brain. As for why I've decided to do this, there are several reasons, but the primary one is I have a lot of friends and family who still support Trump for a variety of reasons, and these are people that I still love and care about deeply. And it's my opinion that many of our media sources are simply not providing us with accurate information. And with the increasingly busy lives that we lead, it's oftentimes very difficult for people to even know where to turn for accurate information. Furthermore, many news sources outside of those that we normally trust can also have a tendency to attack and belittle those that they disagree with, which obviously doesn't really encourage anyone to expand outside the horizons of their normal trusted sources. And that is definitely the opposite of what I want to do. I don't want to approach this in an attacking type of stance, and I don't want to insult anyone's intelligence. There's already more than enough of that stuff out there already anyways, and if you're just looking for someone who will dunk on your political opponents, there are plenty of people much funnier than me who can already fulfill that desire as it is. What I would much rather do is meet people at their very legitimate concerns and get to the heart of what is causing them fear, and hopefully show them that the man and movement who is being entrusted to alleviate that fear is actually making it a lot worse. Also, I realize that a lot of this is cultural and social as well, and walking away from these stances is not just as simple as deciding one day I don't really like Coldplay or Burger King anymore. Taking a stand against this movement now, especially in a particularly tense political moment that we're in, could also mean losing a lot of close friends and social circles. Even some family members might reject you, and that's not easy. I want to be clear that I sympathize with those fears as well, as it's not easy to feel like you're stepping out all on your own, even though the truth is that you're not actually alone in this, and many others right now are likely hoping that someone they know will have the courage to do it first. Finally, I want to be clear that I do plan to approach this from a Christian context as well. I have a lot of friends who are Christians, also a lot who are not, so I want to make it available to both. I'll do my best to start with a factual analysis early on and then hopefully get into the faith aspect in the latter half most of the time. So again, hopefully they'll be useful for everyone. But because it's my faith that's actually my key driver in my opposition to the MAGA movement, it is inevitably going to play a big role in the direction that I take the videos. And my biggest motivation for why I'm deciding to put in all the time and effort, because I'm not good at this, and perhaps even endure some ridicule in the unlikely event that more than like 5 people actually watch these, is precisely because I believe that the movement is doing an incredible amount of harm to our witness as Christians. I believe that the gospel of Jesus Christ is good news for all, but particularly for the poor and the downtrodden and the marginalized. We see this throughout the Gospels. And this movement is really only good news for those who are already in power or who happen to look like them. And as I believe Scripture makes very clear, anything that honors earthly power and wealth and domination over others is in fact deadly for our souls, even if it feels like a win in the short term and provides some temporary comfort during trying times. So that's the long and short of it, at least for now. The current plan is to keep the videos to about 10 minutes or less in order to make them easy to share. although I'm sure some subjects are going to require multiple instances of the videos, part 1, 2, 3, and so on, because they're just too complex to boil down to one video. I plan for the first one to be on immigration, and I have a few others planned for the future as of now, but I'm definitely open to any ideas that somebody might want to have covered, whether you're a Trump supporter or not, so feel free to provide that feedback. If there's enough interest in these, I might later on evolve past just Trump and into other subjects that get a little deeper, like Christian nationalism, because I do think he is more the symptom than the cause, and this issue is not just going to go away once he's gone. I also welcome any constructive feedback as well. If there's any gaps in my logic or if I got anything wrong, just remember to keep it on this topic and keep it civil in the comments as well, as the last thing I want is for this to just turn into another comment section war. Anyways, the first set of videos is due to drop next week, so stay tuned for that. If you want to be tagged, just let me know that as well, and I'll be happy to make a list and let everyone know once they're ready. Thanks. Hey everyone, one other quick thing I wanted to note on this planned political series. You may be wondering why immigration. And basically, when I started, it was February and we were in the heat of it. Minnesota was getting invaded. And since then, as I've been putting these videos together, we have started a brand new war in the Middle East, and the Supreme Court has basically destroyed the crowning achievement of the civil rights era and, a whole bunch of stuff in between on the Epstein files. So, needless to say, there has been a lot in between. But I do still think this is a really important topic, not just because of all the damage that was caused and all of the harm done to people along the way, but also I don't think this is a situation that is completely gone either. I think the administration has pulled back to an extent because it was incredibly unpopular, especially the way that they did things. But I don't think this is something they've completely forgotten about. Mass deportation was a huge part of their campaigning. And I think what they're likely doing right now is just going a little bit quiet on it, trying to get people to forget about it until they're able to fully consolidate their power. So I think it's still very much worth paying attention to, worth remembering just how chaotic all of this was. And ultimately, again, I think it's definitely worth reviewing for everyone who is victimized by this approach. So I'm still going to be putting it out there. I've got a couple other subjects planned for the future, but for the time being, try and remember that this is not something we can simply move on from simply because they have moved on to multiple other things that have really filled the airwaves. And this is still a really important topic. So I'm hoping people will still tune in. And again, let me know if you have any thoughts, follow ups, questions, or feedback.